Yeah.
Dear colleagues who are present here in Corinth and those who are connected online, I would like to invite everybody to our next session after lunch. In this session, we will have several presentations about projects, and hopefully we will have an inspiring discussion in the end. The first presentation will be mine. I will introduce myself. My name is Irina Bondarevska. I currently work at University of Lausanne, but as a senior researcher in NCSA on the Move project, but I'm also head of a Ukrainian NGO, Center for Personal and Social Transformations, which coordinated the organization of this conference. So today I'm going to tell you about the project which I lead at University of Lausanne and in NCSA on the Move. And the project title is Attitudes Towards Migration and Society in Ukraine. It is a sub-project. This project is part of NCSA on the Move. NCSA on the Move means National Center for Competence in Research, the Migration Mobility Nexus. The wider project is entitled Attitudes Towards Migration and Democracy in Times of Crisis, funded by Swiss National Science Foundation. The NCSA on the Move project leader is Professor Eva Green from University of Lausanne. Before starting this project, which is mostly survey, but also other educational events, which I will describe later. And we obtained approval of Ethics Commission of University of Lausanne, because conducting survey in Ukraine requires definitely Ethics Commission approval. Besides developing questionnaire for this survey, we plan to publish concept book in English and Ukrainian, which will contain a questionnaire which a team of researchers developed. And we will also include the main concepts of research for our colleagues in Ukraine, for whom these concepts are not very widely spread, but also maybe some of other colleagues will be interested to read this concept book in English language, and maybe we can conduct similar research in other countries, not only in Ukraine. The contributors of the project are on this slide in alphabetic order. Me, Irina Bondarevska, led the general coordination, and I was also developer of the questionnaire. Maria Dangubic contributed to questionnaire development, as well as Jessica Gale and Emanuele Politi, and Eva Green provided scientific supervision of this project. Our collaborators from Ukraine are in Dnipro, city controlled by Ukrainian government. We signed their agreements of cooperation between University of Lausanne and Oles Gonchar Dnipro National University and Alfred Nobel University were signed. Coordinator from Oles Gonchar Dnipro University is Zoya Bondarenko, and coordinator from Alfred Nobel University is Alina Yudina. Quantitative survey was conducted on the sample of students, around 50 responses, valid responses. I mean, in general, we had more than 600, and only around 500 were valid from them. Students specialized in psychology, law, and economics, at Oles Honcharny National University and Alfred Nobel University, we collected this data in March 2024. Data was collected using an online questionnaire Qualtrics. Besides data collection, the team provided organizational events, open lectures, and seminars. Respondents were provided with theoretical and practical knowledge in those topics of social psychology which are not enough present in Ukrainian academic curriculum. Respondents were able to ask questions on theoretical concepts measured in research and other topics on their interest during interactive online events. Thus, respondents personally interacted with researchers who developed the questionnaire and analyzed collected data, enriching their knowledge in social psychology and democracy-related topics. Not only respondents participated in these events, but also professors and lecturers from those two universities in Dnipro. On this slide, you can see what the topics of the lectures delivered in the frame of this project. The first lecture was given by Eva Green. Lecture was how social norms and exposure to diversity shape attitudes and behaviors toward immigrants. The second lecture was given by me, Irina Bondarevska, values and democracy-related attitudes in the context of citizenship education. And then Emanuela Politi conducted a seminar, embarking in a new beginning, resettlement and integration journeys after displacement. We measure attitudes towards Ukrainians who left Ukraine due to the war, Ukrainians who left Ukraine and returned, and internally displaced Ukrainians. In this research, we focus on democracy-related attitudes and solidarity. The research aims to examine how attitudes and solidarity relate to national identity, values, institutional trust, different facets of patriotism, civil liberties, religiosity, contacts with and perception of difficulties of externally displaced migrants. We elaborate theoretical and empirical models of identity and affect, namely compassion, anger, shame, fear, disgust, indifference, to explain contextual factors which emerge in conditions of intertwined crisis. I will tell several words about theoretical background quite shortly. Based on literature analysis, we distinguish predictors of solidarity and democracy-related attitudes. Schwartz's theory of basic values was taken as a basis for analyzing values of self-determination, stimulation, hedonism, achievement, power, security, conformity, tradition, benevolence, and universalism as predictors of solidarity and democracy-related attitudes. Among other predictors included in theoretical models of the research group are contacts with externally displaced Ukrainians based on intergroup contact theory, individual suffering, religiosity, national identity, patriotism in the face of threat, blind patriotism, law and order, civil liberties. We consider enemy-related phenomena such as dysregulation and disintegration to be important determinants of socio-political context description as well as institutional trust. Citizenship identity model will be taken as a basis for theorizing and empirical substantiation of citizenship identity meaning context, which includes values and attitudes. I would like to tell that each researcher in our research group had their theoretical models to be checked empirically. But in this presentation, I will show only my theoretical model because I'm responsible for it. Just keep in mind that other researchers also have a lot of interesting to share. My research line is based on a citizenship identity model, which was published in 2022. You can see how it is. It can be shown graphically on this slide. Meaning content of citizenship identity constitutes values and democracy-related attitudes. While values lie at the center, the most stable component, democracy-related attitudes more apt to changes lie in the layer next to the center. The third layer, citizenship activity, is even more apt to changes than attitudes. Solidarity is considered as a type of citizenship activity in this model, and the outer layer, behavior in particular situation, is the most apt for changes. I have around seven hypotheses, which I hope will be confirmed empirically, but we have just collected data and we still work with the file, cleaning it, and we will conduct a statistical analysis a bit later. And I will be glad to share research results with participants and also with a wider academic audience. In conclusion, it is worth mentioning that presented above theoretical model of citizenship identity in conditions of war and displacement and predictors of democracy-related attitudes and solidarity are changeable in time. These changes depend on challenges which humanity encounters in contemporary world. Taking into consideration social, political, and economic conditions in which Ukrainians currently live in Ukraine and abroad, traditional psychological theories which were developed in other conditions are not necessarily applicable without empirical information. Personally, I see a practical implication of at least the results of my research line in development of curriculum of social psychology in Ukraine, but maybe also in some other countries. And also research results can be very useful for development of citizenship identity, citizenship education concept in Ukraine, which has much current citizenship education concept has much potential for improvements. And I consider such studies to be very useful for its development. Thank you for your attention. And I would like to invite my colleague from University of Lausanne, Anastasiia Schevchenko, to share her project with you. Oh.
Thank you. Yes, I will open it. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I thank to organizers for the opportunity to be here today. And I'm very happy present to you one of my project. It's not my main project, but as we have war in Ukraine, I decided for myself that I have to find some opportunity to help to our culture. So the project Restore Your Culture is aimed at researching and highlighting cases of destruction of cultural heritage, cultural values of Ukraine as a result of full-scale military invasion of Russia. And the material is based on interview which I recorded in Kherson, Odessa, and Kiev. We have limited time today, so I want to talk only about one case of Kherson region. So I, with a group cameraman, work in Ukraine with representatives of museums and other cultural centers like libraries, theaters, to evaluate independently the scale of cultural losses in territory of Kherson region. As a result, As a result, during the work, we recorded about 10 interviews both with displaced specialists and with those who prepare stay in Kherson. 10 interviews just in Kherson, I mean. So for your understanding, the city of Kherson is the center of Kherson region in the south of Ukraine. By the way, it's next to the Crimea. The city was occupied on March 2nd, 2022, and lived under occupation for 8 months. In the autumn of 2022, observing the successful counterattack of Ukrainian armed forces, Russian soldiers began to massively remove cultural values from museums and libraries to the left bank of Dnipro River. Under the umbrella of evacuation, the occupying government looted 2 largest museums of the region. The Kherson Regional History Museum, you can see on the screen, and Kherson Art Museum. I understand those photos are not of very good quality, but they are very important because this is the first visit of this museum after liberation. According to information provided by Serhiy Nemtsev, a specialist in the Department of Monitoring the Situation in Occupied Territories of Ministry of Culture of Ukraine, the situation in Museum of Local History is awful. The entire exhibition was stolen, entire exhibition, so empty museum. Of course, it's impossible to carry out a systematic review in condition of constant shelling, but according to a preliminary estimation, the total number of stolen exhibits is more than 28,000 units. But this is not final number because you understand that all accounting documentation was stolen too. There were very rare archaeological finds of ancient times, weapons, Sarmatian jewelry, antique furniture, icons and pictures, paintings, of course. Now the whole are empty. But still, for me, more tragic are the losses of the art museum, from which 90% of the entire collection was stolen. 90% of collection, not the exhibition, full collection. I would like to show you part of this interview with the director of this museum and video from a museum which we recorded. They have subs. 1 second. I hope you will see it. Maybe I hope you will get the opportunity to do this.
Херсон був окупований 1 березня. 24-го почали бої, які вчора, бачите, партизани почали перші дні. Нас не було виходу, але я намагалась придумати таку життя музею, колекції, спасіння, щоб окупанти повірили в мої батьки. Мені прийшло свої 5 травня. Тому що 4 травня мене запросили до кандидатури за відмову працювати з опозиційною владою. Мені зателефонували інститутським телефоном і запропонували зробити виставку на 9 травня. На відповідь, що пояснили, мені сказали ні, я в мене, вони запустили в місці. Я запитала, чому ви не запитали? Ви знаєте мені прізвище, ім'я. Ви не представилися, я не відповідь, перевірити. Я кажу, а ти чому не відмовляєш? Ти окупант. Я окупант. Я тебе прийшов просто відмовляти. Від мене. Від себе відмовляти. Так. Ти будеш з нами працювати? Я от краєзнавчий музейний директор, вони зрадниці з народження. Я ні. Ну, так. Завтра на 9 ранку чекаємо кандидатуру. Будемо вчити тебе, поважати мою владу. Я зрозуміла, що це таке, тому що декілька людей вже знаходили за цей час в житті постійно. Чомусь мені довго виїжджали через Різдво, і це окрема історія книги, Різдво Паску, було майже 2 сотні. Як і положували, і писали, автомати до шиї, до води, до спини, все було. Але ми вивели нашу колекцію за тиждень до того, як Херсон був об'єднаний. Але здали нам 2 місяці. Вивозили великими силами. Це було організовано. Приїхав з Крима, з краєзнавчого музею Сімферополя Сав'єди, Андрій Мадін, його замштиги таємничні. Вони приїхали з великими формами, презентованими величезними, без номерів, але були кольорові знаки на бортах. Вони привезли з собою велику кількість людей, які вони виносили, вивозили, там були більше 50. І то вони цим займалися майже тиждень. Газу клітку закрили, забрали телефони, закрили її приміщення. Вивезли все. Вивезли все. Знаєте, навіть старі каністри для палива. І так крали. На жаль, крали наші роботи. Більше. Було у нас до війни трохи більше 14. Крали краще. Крали 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 століття. Це прикладне мистецтво таке шитло золотом сріблом. Крали майже всю графіку, акварель. У нас були твори найбільші колекції, ніж міняючі колекції, Максим. У нас була Яблонська, Львова, Лущенка, Маленка, Евазовський, Броуді. У нас чудові роботи були британського художника, кращі. У нас були ікони Шевченка.
course, it's just part of the interview. I will back to my presentation. And where is my presentation? No. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. You know my presentation, but than me, but it's not good. So let's redo like that. It's better. So the most shocking part of this is not so much the looting, which happens in wars, because Ukraine is not just one case, but the intentional and cynical destruction of cultural heritage, both reclaiming pre-modern object as part of an extended Russian historical space, by the way, including Greek and Sarmatian materials, and arising the Ukrainian modernist cultural tradition, which was in dialogue with Russia culture, but was not part of it. Those in many ways completing the work of erasure during Stalinist time. We can actively see this in the occupied Crimea. Destruction of Ukrainian identity and the identity of native-born people like Crimean Tatars. In particular, the entire regional archive from the first documents to the time of the USSR was taken from Kherson to Crimea under this umbrella of occupation. All this is done in order to rewrite history and sow the local history of Ukraine into the Russian context of one nation. And it's important for understanding. As a part of the project, we hold some events. For example, one of such events you can see on the screen. On 25th of May, we organized a roundtable discussion in Geneva with the museum's management and Ukrainian prosecutors and international lawyers to discuss ways to return the stolen exhibits. That is, the work has already begun, but it's taken decades, of course. We understand it, but as I want to say a few more words about the destruction of libraries. On the screen you can see the largest Kherson regional library named after Oleg Gonchar. Here is photo before and after shelling. And what I want to emphasize, this was the Russian military aimed fair, I mean, because it was not just one hit, it was a lot of hits during 1 year, exactly in this building. And unfortunately, I can show you more pictures of this slide. And unfortunately, an attack on November 12, 2023 actually destroyed the library building. In addition, according to the testimony of 7 librarians of different libraries of the region, in the halls of the libraries, Russian soldiers made barracks for themselves, destroying the cultural space around them. But it's not the most shocking thing, because according to the writer and director of the Stanislavska Public Library, Olena Malyarenko, there was a torture chamber in her library building. In the autumn, we plan to another trip to Kherson region. Unfortunately, I haven't a lot of time, but I want to clarify that we talk about the PESC in the deoccupied territory. This. On the deoccupied territory, but what is on the left bank of the Dnipro River, we don't know. We get some information, but not so much. Of course, we can say about the flooding of some museums as a result of the Russian troops blowing up the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant. Some of them will not longer be able to be restored because, for example, House Museum of Ukrainian artist Polina Raikovich was a unique monument of late Ukrainian art, and it was completely destroyed because of flooding in Oleshki. That is a territory controlled by the Russian military. My time is up. This is where I have to finish my report. On the screen, you can see the accounts to which anyone can send help to the Kherson Art Museum. And this is a link to other video interviews from Kherson with librarians, for example, with some photojournalists. And you can learn maybe more about this. Thank you very much.
In this session, we have one more presentation, and I would like to ask Stella Gonzalez Arnal and Natalia
Marakhovska.
You are here.
Yes, we are here.
Could you share your screen? How would you prefer to present?
But Irina, will you let me share the screen, because it's written that you disabled screen sharing.
Make a co-host. Make co-host. This one. Yes.
Would you try now?
Yes, now I can, thank you. So can you see our slides?
Yes.
And one more minute, please. Can you see the change of slides? Yes?
Yes, it works.
Okay, so it works. That's great. And Stella, you will start. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. We are going to talk about a project, my colleague Natalia Marakhovska and I, a project that we are developing together. The title of our session, as you can see on the screen, is Empowering Women in Times of Crisis, Fostering Inclusion in Ukrainian Academia. I am a lecturer in the University of Hull, and my colleague is a lecturer, associate professor at the University of Mariupol State University in Ukraine. And we are going to share with you a project that we are having together. Next slide, please. So we are focusing on the crisis in Ukrainian academia. As you know, given the war situation in Ukraine, there have been a destruction of universities, and as you have seen in previous presentations of other cultural places, we are focusing on the destruction of the universities and the displacement of faculty and students. This is very relevant for the University of Mariupol, as currently they don't have a physical space in which they can teach and learn or research. The staff and the students are displaced in Ukraine and outside Ukraine. So their environment is disrupted. They don't have the means, the normal means to do their work, but they are still going on with their work. So we want to help with this situation. There are also worrying-induced psychological effects on staff and students, and there is a need for resilience and adaptation. And with our program, we want to help to improve this situation. Next slide, please. So one of the ways in which you can improve the situation is by empowering women in academia. We have focused on women because a lot of them are outside of Ukraine. A lot of the lecturers and the students are outside of Ukraine. They are in charge of relatives, children. They are working in an environment that is not theirs culturally. Many of them have to learn a second language. They have to get extra jobs. So they are doing their work in a very stressful environment. They have to adapt themselves to a new cultural environment, and we want to help them not only do their work, but be able to do it better in very difficult circumstances. So this requires a transformation of their skill set and their mindset. They have to be able to develop even further their adaptive capacity, and they have to be able to adapt new teaching approaches. And what we are doing is developing a project that my colleague Natalia is going to describe in a minute to help them get all these skills and also to be able to transmit them to their students in their teaching. So next slide, please, Natalia.
Thank you, Stella. So I will continue, and here you can see the goals of our project, which is titled Fostering Women's Leadership in Ukrainian Academia and an Intersectional and Culturally Responsive Perspective. So our first goal is sharing successful practices on gender equality and leadership development. Secondly, we'll focus on designing an innovative teaching and training methodology to develop leadership among our Ukrainian colleagues. Then, thirdly, we'll aim to promote long-term institutional change for gender equality and leadership. Also, we'll embed the intersectional perspective about leadership. And finally, we'll encourage collaboration between the University of Hull and Mariupol State University based on equality, diversity, and inclusion. And I will tell you in more detail about our project activities. The key component of the project will be the design and delivery of a professional development course for university lecturers titled Inclusive Leadership in Academia Through Cultural Immersion. This course is aimed at enhancing teachers' leadership qualities and EDI perspective and awareness, and prepare them to design their own courses or redesign the existing ones, taking into account categories of difference, gender, disability, age, cultural background, and respectively develop their students' leadership qualities with an intersectional perspective and effectively collaborate with their colleagues from diverse cultural backgrounds to enrich research and teaching. And this course will be based on intercultural pedagogy that encourages academics to approach other cultures with open minds, acknowledging similarities and differences, tolerance for ambiguity, and promote the intercultural dialogue. And of course, gain better understanding of their own cultural framework. You can see I will change my slide. So here you can see the module. So our professional development course will be comprised of the following modules. So first, we'll focus on leadership and EDI in academia. Also, we'll cover gender and intersectionality issues. Then we'll examine and explore inclusive course design. After that, our trainees will learn inclusive teaching practices through cultural immersion. After that, they will learn how to promote and measure student success within this culturally responsive, inclusive environment. Then they will learn how to redesign a module with an intersectional perspective. And finally, they themselves will design or redesign their courses and share how they deliver them. So, and we'll continue. And Stella.
Thank you. So this is the first event that we will organize for this project. This project has just begun in April and is funded by the British Council, and we are going to launch it with an event in which colleagues from Mariupol State University will participate online with our colleagues. And we will be talking about beyond displacement and exile, how to build the future for women leaders in academia. So we will be discussing how universities can support displaced and exiled staff and students to promote the leadership of women, but also other underrepresented minorities in academia, because we are not, as we have said, just not focusing on gender, but also in other issues like disability, for instance, or displacement. It will take place on the 19th of June from 10 to 3:30. It's an online event and everybody is invited to participate. If you would like to participate, please just email either Natalia or myself and we will send you a link. Next slide, please. That's what we are going to be doing during the launch of the event, and I think it represents very well our values and our aims. So we will be presenting the program with a representative for the British Council will be there as well. Then we will have a keynote on the importance of international collaboration, particularly the twinning between Mariupol State University and the University of Hull. We are collaborating to improve research, the research environment for the colleagues in Mariupol, and we are learning a lot in the process. Then we will listen from Mariupol colleagues how to the kind of challenges that they are facing and the solutions they are given in having a university that is in exile. Then we will be looking at the level of faculties, how faculty in Hull support women and minority ethnic colleagues by having a mentorship scheme, and how they do the same in Mariupol through trying to keep connected all the staff and students in the Faculty of Foreign Languages. So we are going to be sharing good practices in both universities. Then we will have an hour session of my colleague Natalia, in which she will explain to us how you can embrace leadership, gender equality, and inclusiveness through visual arts. And we will also hear a colleague in Hull telling us how the Chilean exiles in Hull were supported in their studies when they came to the institution as refugees. And that will show how we want to collaborate together, how we want to learn from one another, and how we want to focus on supporting staff and students who are on exile, not only in Mariupol, but with a program that can help people in other places of Ukraine and, of course, in other places where there is a conflict. Next slide, please.
Dear colleagues, I've just shared a registration link with you via our chat. So we cordially invite all of you to our project launch event. and as Stella has just emphasized, will cover issues of displacement and solutions, of course. And also our other project activities will include launching a web page that will be connected to our institutional websites and also to external organizations. And the purpose of this web page will be to share some resources, materials, information on our professional development course, to collect and share all good practices from our international events within the project. Also share publications and media coverage, and our webpage will be constantly updated. And besides, when our project is approaching to its end, we'll have an international workshop, so another international event, and will engage not only with higher institutions in Ukraine, in the UK, and all over the world, but also with non-governmental organizations, for example, Ukrainian associations of psychologists and teachers. Our international workshop will be aimed at raising awareness of inclusion and women's leadership. Also will invite university staff, students, and the general public. And of course, we'll be sharing best practices, and we hope that such international event will help us foster our collaboration. So thank you for your attention. Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ για την προσοχή σας. And I'd like to express our gratitude to our conference organizers and all participants for raising such topical and timely issues. And we are very honored to be here today, especially at the University of Peloponnese. And you know that in Mariupol and in the Azov Sea region, we have the largest Greek diaspora in Ukraine. And unfortunately, during the USSR regime, the Greeks' ethnic identity was constantly repressed. But when Ukraine finally obtained its independence in 1991, our Azov Greeks got the opportunity for their cultural revival. And nowadays, Mariupol is half ruined and under occupation, and Russian occupiers continue this human, cultural, and ethnic genocide. But our Mariupol State University, even though it is in exile and displaced, still it promotes Greek culture and language. We have the Department of Greek Philology, and we prepare Greek teachers and translators. And I'm very happy that our new project with the University of Hull will be focused on creating this culturally responsive, inclusive environment and supporting migrants and other vulnerable groups. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your invitation for collaboration. If you wish I would suggest you to send this link to email of the conference, and our organizing team can distribute it through the emails of all registered participants.
Thank you.
Also, you can share not only email, but all information which you want to share.
Thank you.
So now we have some time for discussion, not so much, but still we have time for at least, I think, 3 questions. We have questions from participants who are here. Vaiva.
Thank you so much. The presenters about what values are important, what values are being stomped up. Hopefully there will be somebody to take care of that, at least in written format, at least in photographs, if not in reality. And thank you, presenters, about it's kind of experiment, it's kind of action research that you are having. It's maybe not directly that, but it seems like that. What were your main what was your main rationale to follow this path? Because intersectional and all these things, they seem, well, how come you decided to, what were the reasons for this particular title, for these particular purposes? Thank you. And that was the question.
Stella. Stella, will you answer this question? You are unmuted, or you are muted, vice versa. Unmuted.
Yes, Stella, we can't hear you.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't hear very well the question. My connection is breaking down. So if you could please repeat the question. Natalia, maybe you could, because it's I cannot pick up well the sound from the room.
Maybe you could closer because
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Very inspiring one. It seems as if it's an action research you are going forward. Yes, a little bit. What were the reasons? What were the reasons for that, and what purposes do you have for your action research, for your project? Thank you.
Okay, well, our research was born from the collaboration between Mariupol State University and the University of Hull. So we have a twinning project. We met Natalia and I at a workshop, and we wanted to work together. She works on leadership, and I work on higher education and intersectionality. And we wanted to do something to just to promote research and teaching in Mariupol University. So it was circumstantial that we actually found ourselves at the right place at the right moment. And it was even more right when we discovered that there was some funding that we could apply for. So what we are trying to do is just to develop this tool that can be used not only in Mariupol, but also in other places, and that encompasses leadership, cultural awareness, and intersectionality, because we thought that we could work on inclusion and awareness on how to promote inclusion together, given our different expertise and the collaboration that exists between our universities. We would like to include other universities in Ukraine, obviously, in the project in the future when we have our method developed, and also put it into other contexts in which it will be appropriate to be used. So it was a question of we met and we thought we will be able to to work together on this project, and then the funding, of course, help us to make it reality. So that was the impetus.
Thank you.
do we have more questions? Yes, please.
Actually, yes, I have a question for you. You refer to citizenship education, right? Okay, so I would like to know, how is it taught in Ukrainian schools? What is the model that the schools in Ukraine follow in order to promote it? Is it a compulsory subject, separate from the others, an individual subject, or it's embodied in others?
Situation with citizenship education in Ukraine is very complicated now. I didn't include it in this presentation because it would require more time. At present in Ukraine, there are two concepts which are enforced simultaneously. One concept is a concept of national patriotic education, and the other concept is a concept of citizenship education. There are contradictions between these two concepts. Yeah, it's obvious even from the title. And also inside the concept of citizenship education, there are contradictions. And I hope that it is obvious that it should be rewritten. And it is in the process, but citizenship education in times of war has its peculiarities. It is obvious. For present, concept of citizenship education is based on values and democracy. But how it is implemented during the war, I think that concept of national patriotic education is more in force. Though there was at least a huge group of educators who were developing a new vision of the concept of citizenship education, but so far new document was not presented, because maybe because the bigger is the group, the more difficult it is to come to mutual understanding, especially in such controversial topics as national patriotic education, citizenship education, and democracy education. The last concept of citizenship education was signed in the beginning of the war already in 2022. And it is available online.
Primary schools or elementary schools?
It should be implemented on all levels. But there are so many contradictions inside this document. If you download it and translate, even with computer translation, you can be surprised.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
The question is for Anastasiia. Have I understood correctly? You went back? You had someone to make those pictures. Who made those pictures before? Well, it's evident they should have been there somewhere. But after, or you, how you collected the data before, after, before, after?
I understand the question. When I got into this, for example, the librarians,
Yeah.
I put some pictures for them applied before showing, yes. And if we talk about pictures of some historical museums, this picture was provided by Virginia itself. Because we had like a group of people who first in this building exactly after the liberation, and it's very important photos because it was night. We had from here because they have to do it very fast. This is why.
Because people want to clean up the place and start living again. That's what it means. So it's important to make a picture of that.
Not even a great outlook. I think even more because it's very dangerous now working person exactly in museums because like library they almost every week shoot. So with the time, yes, it's like it's terrible and it's aimed in this dangerous place.
They looted everything, so now they may show. Why not? It's empty. They know that. So why not?
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I would like to acknowledge presenters. And also, I would like to suggest Natalia and Stella to cooperate. You have mentioned that you are interested in Ukrainian NGOs, and I lead one of the Ukrainian NGOs, Center for Personal and Social Transformations. We can keep in touch via emails.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Irina. Thank you for your support and this proposal for further cooperation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I hope we will keep in touch. And meanwhile, I would like to invite our next presenter. Ourania Eleni Zachariadou with her presentation, Unaccompanied Minors, Profile and Characteristics. I confused the program. Despina, you have previous version of
Really?
Yes. We printed previous version, and for today, I still invite Ourania Eleni Zachariadou. We even uploaded presentation already.
Okay, sorry, I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
From Share. We did it. We did it from. Is it already?
Yes.
Do you see your presentation?
Full screen. It's okay, or can make it full screen. It's okay, you can see now. It's everything. It's good. Okay. We can ask if did anyone see the change from the audience? Did all see the slides? You can see slides changing.
Could somebody from participants, maybe there is reply in chat. You see chat?
Yep.
No, not yet.
Okay.
I will give them. But when
Now it's better. Now you can see them change now. Yeah, but okay. Okay, so as you, thank you very much. My name is Irina Zachariadou, and I'm doing my PhD in the University of Gonzalez with Despika Kachani. So this presentation is a comparison of some data regarding Unaccompanied minors and their profile and characteristics. Is from a research in 2016 and some current data of today. As we know, migration is one of the most important issues worldwide. Greece, as a gateway of European Union, welcomes every year thousands of immigrants and refugees. So in this paper, I'll try to make a comparison between a case study conducted in 2016 with some current data, as I said before, regarding the experience and the profiles of unaccompanied minors in Greece. The research question that we are going to follow till today has to do with mainly with their lives and their experiences before their migration, how the decision for their migration was taken, and how they experienced the journey of their migration. Hopefully, these insights will be helpful in order to get a deeper understanding of these children and how we can assist better. So that could lead to improvement of services that they offer to these minors, but also learning more about their lives could make others feel more empathy and change the way in which they face unaccompanied minors here in Greece. Comparing data from research conducted 8 years ago with current data will also enable us to identify commonalities, differences, and some points that they still exist, but maybe in a different level. Also, it's important because it's well known that childhood experiences can profoundly shape adult lives, and that make it even more crucial to understand as much as we can. Because understanding the rights and the needs of these children, it enables us better cover their needs and to ensure their protection and the respect of their rights. So as I said before, this is a comparison between a case study and some current data. The case study research took place in a reception center in Athens, accompanied 24 boys, unaccompanied boys, in 2016, and became using only qualitative methods like posters, drawings, and some group interviews with minors. The current data are both numerical and empirical. The numerical data are from reliable and published sources such as the Ministry of Immigration in Greece. And the empirical information emerged from my work with unaccompanied minors the last years. Recently, I'm working in the General Secretary for Valuable People, and especially in the Department of Accommodation of Unaccompanied Minors, which belong to the Ministry of Immigration, as I said before. So in this context, we receive every day several referrals for accommodation of these children, and also many best interest assessment form, where we learn about their story, their needs, their perspective, etc. So this gives some information that we are going to comparing here. So let's start with the results first of the case study, focusing and talk in advance about some experiences before and during their migration. They have faced numerous challenges in their country of origin. They expressed through this research their opposition to the gender inequality, early marriage, religious extremism, and of course to the war. And also they expressed some concerns about the political and religious violence and the negative effect of the terrorism for their country of origin. At the same time, they highlighted the issues such as the lack of education, the lack of a sustainable health system, the lack of freedom such as the freedom of speech, the lack of clean water, and the outbreak of many diseases. Of course, there's some positive images, mainly include images about agriculture scenes and some festivals, cultural festivals like Ramadan. Talking about the reasons behind this migration in the past, we can see that armed conflicts and war was the main reasons, not only for the minors that participate in that research, but also in other research of the field. And the threats of forced arms was also a very important reason for them. They will to be safe and to seek a better life, with some of them expressing feelings of hopeless in their own countries. That can be also a link and give us the opportunity to think how links and aspiration link with the reasons behind migration. Talking about problems during their migration, most of them mention working long distances under adverse conditions. They couldn't take any break. Many times smugglers became violent against them. They saw hard images like the death of people. Sometimes these people are friends or family members, but even if they don't, still it's very hard to see someone to die. And children who reached Greece by sea, they have also mentioned that this part, the stage of boat, was one of the most terrified for them. So we can understand that physical and emotional well-being of this group of children was an additional area of concern. It's not difficult to understand reading all this. And also some additional issues was that some of them start their migration trip with their family or family members only to be separated later on. Goes on with the results of the case study. The next subject is the decision maker. The majority of participants migrate following the decision of their family or the decision they make with their family. Only 3 of them make the decision to migrate on their own, and only 2 of them did it against of parents' will. They have also some thoughts about their future. I use the word of a boy. They say that I want to be somewhere to be calm and to think. Many others also share the same aspiration, same will, to be somewhere safe, calm, and able to think about their future. They have some positive attitudes towards the idea of working and earning money, but also they wanted to attend school and improve their lives in future. Again, here, there's a link with aspiration about their future education, both for children and from family, which may be related with children's migration. Regarding the profile of this minor, the age and the birth order, the majority of unaccompanied minors back then was boys, teenager boys, not only in the shelter that I was, but also international, in all Greek, and some international researchers say the same. And most of the participants were the first or the second boy child of their family, although there are some children that didn't follow this pattern. Let's go to today, some data, numerical first. More or less, approximately, the unaccompanied minors in Greece right now is 1,988 children. Most of them are teenager boys. Only 13 of them are girls, and only 7% of these children are under 14 years old. So we have more boys than girls. The vast majority are teenagers between 14 to 18 years old. And here I have some nationalities. First is children coming from Egypt, then Somalia, Afghanistan, Syria, Pakistan, and other countries like Palestine and more, and some African countries also. This data is from 1st of May this year, and is always changed. Talking about their experiences before their migration, almost all of them mention poverty and high level of poverty, especially children coming from Egypt, which is the nationality that raised after November 2023. Before was Somalia, the first nationality of these children. The loss of a family member and sometimes also the illnesses of the father, who usually is the person who brings the income of the family, is also something that many times is mentioned from these children. Also, there are some threats, conflicts, and various types of vendettas in their countries, and they are also traumatic experience, as we all understand. At the same time, there is an increase in the number of children who make the decision to migrate on their own, and also there is an increase in the number of children who make the decision to migrate against or without let parents know about it. They leave the country first, and then they inform them by phone call or a message to a neighbor, because they don't have always the ability to contact the parents directly, that they left the country. So regarding the hazards of their trip, they have mentioned long distance walking and the lack of food and water. They also mention and talk a lot about misbehavior of smugglers. There is a practice which sounds big common nowadays and mentioned a lot, that many people are locked in places somewhere in Lebanon and accept violent behavior from smugglers till they give extra money or the rest of the money, the amount of money that they are dealt in the beginning. So during this time of during this period of time, they don't receive enough food, they accept many kind of violence, etc. Additionally, minors who reach Greece by the sea still recognize this part of their migration as one of the most terrified for them. And of course, they have also other traumatic experiences, such as the separation of their parents and the anxiety about their future, about their lives, etc. Let's go on with the comparison and start with similarities. There are many common points here. First of all, the main profile of these children is the same. We have, again, more boys than girls, teenagers who are the first or the second male child of their family. This is not common between the two period of times, but also in other research of the field. And some of them started their migration journey with their family members, only to be separated later on. This is also something that we saw in our days. The vast majority encounter various traumatic events. Again, this is not only data between this period of time, but also something that we can see in other research focusing on unaccompanied minors, because this is a group of children that they experiencing physical and emotional harm before, but also during, and many times even after their migration. They often mention abuse behavior from smugglers, and they share some common points between them, such as similar aspiration for a better life, a sense of hopelessness in their own life, and some similar needs and rights as okay. There are also some differences. For example, in 2016, the majority of unaccompanied minors who reached Greece were coming from countries in war, like Syria. But nowadays, there's an important rise of children coming from Egypt or other countries, where maybe there's not war, but there are other push factors, like the high poverty. However, there are still children coming from Syria, Somalia, Afghanistan, Palestine. As we can understand, coming from different country means that they have different cultural background, which led to different behavior and even different legal status after adulthood, after 18 years old. Maybe they are not going to be recognized as refugees, for example. And the high level of poverty make them have a very strong need to work, even to give back money that have given to smugglers, or even to support their family who is behind. And there are also some points besides similarities and differences that still exist, but in a different way or in a different level. This is the issue of poverty, as I mentioned before, which is one of the main reasons that children mentioned as the reason of their migration right now. And we are talking for very high level of poverty. Also, aspirations is different a little bit, because still they want to go to school and work, but this time the need to earn money seems to be a priority. And at the same time, there's many challenges when they try to attend school and to integrate it on this. There's also differences because of the country of origin. For example, many children have never been at school before, which is different for Syrians. So they don't know how it is to be at school. They don't have a similar opinion about childhood. They don't feel children anymore, many of them. Another point is the language. Children from some countries, they speak English even at a very low level, but they can't communicate. They are able to communicate. Or children from coming from some African countries, they speak French, which is also a way to communicate with teachers, for example. Many teachers in Greece can speak and can help them. So there are many differences between nationalities. And another thing that exists both in the past and now is that there's a number of children who migrate on their own and without parents' permission or with their own decision. which still exists, but very different numbers. Now it's higher. Let's go on with some conclusions. This short article attempts to assist the better understanding of unaccompanied minors in Greece and contribute to the improvement of services while challenging negative perception that exists and are everywhere in the society, in media. So we face them in everyday life. A comparison was made between data gathering from a research conducted in 2016 with current data and give us the opportunity to see differences, similarities, etc. The main findings underscore the numerous challenges and risks faced by these children, and also the experiences, the traumatic various events that they have experienced. They share some common hopes for the future, some aspiration, but also they have similar needs to each other and rights as children, as human beings. These findings could highlight or even add some knowledge on the field. However, other research is always more than welcome and is necessary in the area because it could be beneficial and illuminate additional facts of the complex phenomenon of minors migration. It's always important to have more and more information because migration is something that exists in the past, exists in the present, will be exist in the future, but in a different way. It's not something that has a beginning and an end. It's something ongoing. At that point, I would like to thank you for your consideration and time. I have some references here. I will be welcome to share it by email with anyone who need it. Thank you.
I would like to thank you for your presentation, and I would like to invite the next presentation by Anastasiia. The presentation title is Instrumental Public Participation in Poland and Finland, Preliminary Findings from Qualitative Research.
Thank you. Hello. But I think that I need some kind of assistance with this. Let's see. I cannot see my presentation.
Okay, so
Oh yeah, it's here. Okay.
you click on share screen. Yeah, first you have to click on share screen.
Oh, it is. It works that way. Does it work for those who are online?
Yes.
Is there anyone?
Please check chat, maybe.
Yeah, there's something. Yes, it works. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, maybe like this. Okay, so thank you very much, especially for organizers to creating this opportunity for me to be here. I know that my topic is a little bit different, but when I was observing the previous presentation, I thought that maybe my one will be a little bit more optimistic. So maybe it will be good for you and you will enjoy it a little bit. So today I'm on behalf of my colleagues, group of researchers with whom I conduct research focused on youth public participation. And we do the comparative studies of Poland and Finland. And in a minute, I will show you what kind of methodology we follow and what kind of case studies we have. Okay, that's the presentation plan. So very briefly, I will introduce you this concept of youth participation in local governance and the idea and the rationale behind our research. Then I will go to the methods, case studies comparison, which will be very short for today, even though it can be very long, and then research results and conclusions. So I feel obliged to say that our project, which is the main title is Silent Witnesses or Active Participants, Patterns of Children and Youth Engagement in Local Governance in Poland and Finland, is financed by National Science Center. This project is implemented and the main leader of the project is the University of Maria Curie-Skłodowska in Lublin. I am one of the investigators and I just cooperate with three of my colleagues. Katarzyna is the main director or the leader of the project, and we have also Elżbieta, which is also based in the University of Marek Skłodowska in Lublin, and we have one colleague from the University of Tampere in Finland. So right now we can skip directly to the children youth participation and why we just focus on this topic. We just believe that this topic should be interesting, and we should pay as a researcher as well much more attention to this concept of youth public participation. We do a lot of research on public participation in general, and especially we are interested in different kind of instruments which are designed for young people. Those rights to participate and to take part in public life is highly, and it is acknowledged and it's recognized by international institutions, United Nations, European Union, but also the Council of Europe. So we already have documents, we already have recommendation, and all those member countries also have those recommendations that they should follow them and they should implement this concept also in their national regulation, and also create this kind of opportunities, which means instruments just to let those people, young people, youth and children take part in public life. We also believe, and it is also recognized in many academic papers, that nowadays young people are still treated as a marginalized group. In many cases, even in developed countries with, should I do something? No. They are still marginalized, ignored in the decision-making process. They are not recognized, sometimes they are neglected. Even though officially they are asked about their opinion, they are sometimes, or even very often, they are asked for the opinions. In the end, their opinions are not taken into consideration and they are not implemented in the final decision, which is still made by adults. So on the other hand, we observe that young people are becoming nowadays more and more interested in public issues. Of course, not in every issue, but especially in those areas which can somehow influence their life or their future life. So they are aware of many problems and of many dangers we can face in a contemporary world. So that's why we believe that if they are recipients of a lot of programs implemented by local authorities, a lot of services and public tasks, they should be asked for opinions, they should be consulted. And we also believe that because of this, they can contribute and they can help us to provide much more effective public services, or the public services delivery could be much more effective. So right now, I would like to mention or just say a few words why we selected Poland and Finland for our study. Of course, as it was already mentioned in the previous presentation, there are always similarities and differences. Probably there's more differences than similarities, but still, just not to going into details, we observed that we have quite similar legal regulations regarding children and youth participation, especially when we are talking about those institutionalized instruments. So we recognize some similarities. There are, of course, some similarities when we are thinking about location of both countries. There are also some similarities when we are thinking about the history and the past of both countries. When it comes to differences, of course, we are very different. We have big country when it comes to population and quite small country, but the territory of both countries is quite large. We have differences in when it comes to socioeconomic system. Finland, typically welfare state, still Poland post-communism state, highly polarized when it comes to socioeconomic differences, but also when it comes to political issues. So quite the diversity is very visible. We have different local government system. Different tasks, different scope of tasks of municipalities, different levels of public administration, and of course different bodies, governing bodies on the local and regional level, and in the end different competencies of those bodies, which is quite important maybe I do not have time today to explain all of these elements and aspects, but it's generally important, and this is a strong factor when it comes to the creation of those instruments of public participation, especially designed for young people. And of course, we have different traditions when it comes to public participation and public engagement of both adults and young people as well. So these are few theses which just came to our minds before we started and during the conducting our research. So the first one, we believe that although we have all those participatory instruments, which are generally typical for democratic countries, young people are still deprived of actual influence when it comes to public issues. And usually those public decisions are made by adults. As I said at the beginning, officially young people are consulted, they are asked about their point of view, and adults people want to know something more about their perspective. But in the end, those people are not decision makers. Another one, the second thesis, the instrument of children and youth participation serves to improve the competencies of young people and may contribute to the creation of civil society. But as I said, they are not necessarily promoting young people as a decision makers. And despite all those similarities which we observe in Poland and Finland, and I will show you in a minute those instruments, the Finnish ones allow greater involvement of young people and increase their sense of empowerment. So yeah. And case study selection, as I said, we follow this case study method. We selected 3 municipalities in Poland and 3 in Finland. We selected them based on a variety of instruments they offer to young people. And as I said at the beginning, we focus on those institutionalized instruments. There's a lot of different activities, different programs designed for young people. Usually they are like one-time events, but we try to verify how it works with those institutionalized and more frequently implemented instruments. We base our research on new institutionalism theory. We follow the explanatory approach, and because of this, we use this qualitative. We conducted qualitative research, and mostly it is based on focus group interviews and individual interviews. And then, of course, those interviews were recorded, transcribed, coded. We used MaxQDA software for this kind of research. So yeah, quite typical. And this is the case study comparison. As you see, we are focused, and I'm focusing today and right now only on youth councils and participatory budgeting. So you can observe that we have in each of this case study town, which we already selected, we have youth council, so this body already exists. And we also have participatory budgeting-like instruments. Youth council are pretty much similar in each city, in Poland and in Finland. But when it comes to participatory budgeting, in Poland, we use this name for this tool and we call it participatory budgeting. But in Finland, in different towns, they use quite different names for it. So that's why we call it participatory budgeting-like instruments. There will be a little bit time later to explain the details. So when it comes to youth council in Poland and in Finland, we have quite similar legal basis. So legal basis for youth councils are in local governance law. But in Finland, and I have to say it because it's quite important, they are mandatory. So in each municipality, youth council must exist. It's obligatory by law. When it comes to scope of task of youth council in both countries, In Finland, there's a specific range of concerns, and those councils, youth councils, are responsible for well-being, health, education, living environment, housing, or mobility of the municipality residents, and also in other matters that the youth council considers to be significant for children and young people. So this is written in law, and they should. Young people, which are member of youth council, should be consulted and have a say in this kind of tasks. When it comes to Poland, it's much more, I would say, general, which can be good or bad. It depends what's the attitude of local authorities, because in the end, when we see that the youth councils in Poland are generally considered as a consultative and advisory bodies of local authorities in all youth-related issues, it means that they consult and they the chance to provide opinion and have some kind of statements on those tasks and provision of legal documents issued on the local level, which are issued to them by local authorities. So local authorities in the end decide what young people should consult or not should be consulted by youth council. The impact of youth council on local decision making, it was something which was interesting for us, and we asked and we wanted to know if those advisory bodies in both countries have some kind of impact, and are they really like fictitious institutions, or they are maybe those young people who are gathered in them and they are members of those youth councils have something to say. So according to our qualitative research, we see that in Finland, young people are convinced that they have impact on public issues. So according to young people, they have this kind of impact. They believe that their opinion are taken into consideration by adults, and both youth councils and those young people are treated seriously, which is quite important because unfortunately in Poland, young people have completely different opinion about it. Young people in Finland are more involved in public affairs and have greater knowledge of local issues, but it is connected with the creation of youth councils in Finland. And in this country, young people who are based in youth council also participate in city council committee meetings. So they have also the right not only to take a part in this committee, but also to express their opinion. So we believe that because of this participation in those committees, they know what kind of topics are discussed already, what kind of topics are important for the municipality, and of course they can make this this statement and represent the opinion of the youth council. We also believe that and observe the ties between the youth council and the city council are evident in Finland, and they introduced into cities the mentoring program, which means that young people who are a member of youth council have a mentor or a supervisor, which is a local councillor. So this is also quite an effective solution. Then we have impact, or how Polish youth council feel if they have any impact or not. So what we observe, young people are generally in Poland disappointed with this instrument. They usually expected more, and they really expected some kind of influence on local decision making. But they believe, according to those young people we already interviewed, that youth councils are often, not always, but often a facade institution, and they are used instrumentally by local politicians. Youth councils also in Poland serve more to promote or enhance the image of the municipality as a whole, or particular local politicians. Okay, I'm almost getting to the end. And rather than they are serving to empower young people, and their opinion are not to be considered, not taken into consideration. And also young people in Poland, they complain about the lack of funds which let them implement all those ideas which they have. So there's the instrumentality or utility of youth council. And this is quite interesting because as we observe in both countries, young people have quite pragmatic approach to the activity within the youth council. They believe that it can be something useful, and this kind of experience which they can have will be very useful for their future. Also, we observe that Youth Council bring together above average active young people with high knowledge of public affairs. And also, what we see right now, those councils in Finland, they are much more inclusive and accessible to young people with different skills, because they organize the work within the Youth Council in a different way. There are some also similar problems when it comes to youth councils. In both countries, we see that those bodies created by young people need some kind of support of official to act. They cannot handle formalities associated with functioning of local government by their own. Many times young people were disappointed that their ideas cannot be implemented immediately, or that the whole process of implementation of their ideas is time consuming, as it is connected with the nature of local government work. So maybe I will skip this second tool because I don't have much time to this, and I will just go directly to the conclusions. So as we observe different models of local governance and experiences with public participation, they influence the approach to youth engagement in both countries. Even though we have those instruments which are similar, we still see that Finnish youth are taken more seriously, or at least those young people feel that way. Instruments in Poland are generally patterned on a solution created for adults, which is not always good, because like young people, they required maybe something a little bit different. And what we also observe, those institutionalized instruments for young people sometimes are not accessible for those who are out of the education system, who are not very proactive, who are not brave enough, or maybe a little bit shy. So still we see that participation or participatory instruments, they remain invited spaces designed for young people by adults, but not created together with young people, and they're designed according to their needs and their maybe ideas and what they would really what they would really participate and maybe expect. So thank you for your time. I exceeded this extremely, or only a few minutes. Okay, I didn't control the time, sorry for this. So if you have any questions, or maybe later on you would like to contact me, there's the contact. So thank you very much.
Thank you. In this session, we have one more presentation of political sciences. Maksym Filatov with the presentation, Geopolitical cooperation between the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China during the Russian-Ukrainian War and its impact on international security.
Hello, everybody. Okay, we have to do my presentation. Okay. Geopolitical. Yeah. Ships.
Вы ее открыли?
Нет. Okay, one moment, please. Okay. Okay, now.
At the end of the day, they are working non-stop, so it feels free to go and take your work.
Okay, now hopefully everybody can see the beginning of presentation. So to start, what I want to say that the war in Ukraine was the biggest migration wave in Europe since the end of World War II. And of course, the aggression of the Russian Federation was the main cause. But this aggression wouldn't be able to last that long, and Russian army wouldn't have the capabilities to continue offensive operations against our army if it would not receive massive economic, technological, and political support from China. Of course, I'm not undervalue their assistance which other Russian partners provided to Putin's Russia, including countries like North Korea, Iran, South Africa, India. But the assistance which was provided by China, it's way bigger if we compare it with assistance of any other country which is allied to Russia or is neutral in the conflict and continue trading with Russia or continue technological cooperation. So Chinese factor in this war, it's I wouldn't say it's not the main, but kind of crucial. Okay. So talking about the introduction, so overall, the cooperation between Russia and China intensified significantly since 2012, so not in the time when the war began, but since the time Xi Jinping, current Chinese president and the leader of Communist Party, raised to power. However, the defense cooperation, so economic cooperation was always present.
Sorry. Sorry. It's interruption. I'm sorry. Sorry.
All right. However, the defense cooperation had advanced to completely new level since February 24, 2022. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and the President Xi Jinping, they understood that Russian defeat in the conflict might render China's geostrategic position, which would be the advantage for Washington and for European Union. And except of openly transferring large amount of weapons to Russia, Chinese government and Chinese military commanders, they decided to provide full-scale support to Russia in any possible way for China. The only kind of like conditions, the only red line was to make the support less visible, less obvious, to still position itself as a neutral power, which seeks for peace, which seeks for the beginning of peaceful talks between Ukraine and Russia. But as I say, just to position itself neutral, because China in this conflict definitely not a neutral player. Okay, so talking about geopolitical context. So Chinese diplomacy overall demonstrated sound support for Russia. It did not condemn Russian actions in Ukraine at any level, not only just in the level of United Nations, in any bilateral commissions, in the UNESCO, World Trade Organization. China and North Korea was the only one who did not condemn any human rights violations led by Russian military units in Ukraine. China several times disclaimed the records which were sent to the United Nations of human rights violations which had taken place on the occupied territories of Ukraine. As being the UN, one of the UN main power, top 5, China can put a veto on any UN resolution, which it does successfully. So Chinese officials, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Xi Jinping, they many times in their speeches consistently portrayed Russia as a victim of the aggressive US and NATO policies, and particularly underlines that so-called expansion of NATO towards the east was the main cause of the war in Ukraine. If you analyze Xi Jinping's and Wang Yi's speeches, which both officials declared from roughly saying from March 2022 until March 2024. So for the last 2 years, you'll notice that both officials have used the word provoked while describing Russian aggression towards Ukraine more than 78 or roughly saying 80 times. I don't remember exact number, but which for most of us, it kind of sounds ridiculous and funny. Like, how could you provoke how can Ukraine provoke such a big country towards aggression? But that was one of the explanations which official Chinese diplomacy gave. In notable diplomatic events, including the summit between Biden and Xi in November 2023, short Xi summit in April 2024, Blinken's Xi summit in April 2024. Officially, China emphasized on the necessity of peace talks and the necessity of signing ceasefire agreement between Ukrainian army and Russian army. However, during this discussion, Chinese president never addressed an issue of Russian military withdrawal from East and South Ukraine. So according to Chinese president, peace talks should happen, ceasefire should happen first, then peace talks and peace agreement, and then Ukraine and Russia are supposed to discuss the withdrawing of Russian troops from occupied territory of Ukraine.
Do people also talk on migration?
Okay. Which, of course, kind of creates a situation that if Russian army still would be on the occupied territories, the local Russian governments on the occupied territories would continue to function and highly likely not to withdraw from the territory of Ukraine. So yes, many Chinese diplomatic statements, as the speeches of Chinese president or premier, they do sound neutral, but they never address the issue of withdrawing Russian military units from Ukraine. In some of their speeches, you can even see that Chinese premier said that Russian military units stabilize the situation in South and East Ukraine, which, of course, it sounds awkward, like how you occupy them, you took part of the country's territory. How can you use it to stabilize the situation? But that's what's the current Chinese diplomacy saying. Okay, so talking about support, one of the form, of course, that's economic support and increase in trade between China and Russia. Here on the graph, you can see how bilateral trade was increasing from 2016 to 2021. You see it stagnated a little bit in 2020 due to COVID crisis, but then it started to increase again. And then you can notice sharp increase from 2022 to 2024, more rapid than in any other period. That's tremendously important for functioning of Russian economy, because due to Western economic sanctions imposed in February and March 2024, Russia lost part of its markets, especially in Europe and the US. So if China would not increase the trade, it would be problematic for Russia to keep its economy function. And it would be problematic for Russia to find money to finance the budget deficit and financially supply the Russian military units in Ukraine. So talking about the trade data, so in 2021, bilateral trade increased to 147, roughly saying, billion dollars, so 36% increase from 2020. In 2022, another sharp increase to 190 billions. In 2023, bilateral trade surpassed to 240 billion, and in 2024, the projected value of bilateral trade would be 270 to 300 billion. So China became the main trade partner and the most valuable partner, buying the goods which European countries and the US stopped buying from Russia. So kind of like becoming a substitute for the part of the trade which Russia lost due to the sanctions. Okay, so the economic cooperation, of course, it's consists of many sectors, including like increased purchase of oil, gas, coal export, technological cooperation, agriculture, like rising exports of grain and seafood from Russia to China. Big bilateral project like Power of Siberia, and the start of implementation in Nazar, a big bilateral project, Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, agreement about which was signed in 2022, and this pipeline, it's in the process of development. If developed, of course, it's going to bring additional revenues to Russia. Also, Russian participation in Belt and Road Initiative that speed up the bilateral trade. Bilateral project on the mining of natural gas in northern part of Russia, like Yamal LNG project, Yamal LNG 2. Why these projects are important? Because these big chunks of Russian natural gas industries, they got sanctioned significantly, and European countries stopped to sell valuable equipment which would be used for mining natural gas in Arctics. And this kind of valuable equipment, it takes time to produce. So like Russia could not produce it domestically quickly. And it takes time to obtain this equipment in the foreign market. Like if you order such equipment, it might take 2 to 3 years minimum until it's got manufactured and then shipped to your country. So China provided support to Russia for these 2 projects, and not even provided the valuable equipment, but gave Russia a zero interest rate loan. So project could function and bring money to Russian economy. So basically, it's kind of negated part of the sanctions purpose, because the purpose was to make sure that sanctions would work. Russia wouldn't be able to obtain valuable equipment for its oil and natural gas industries. And being left without this technology would be hard for its economy to function. So they would need to come up with the idea to have peace talks and stop the war, because the economy would collapse. But it did not collapse. And part of the reason, of course, Chinese technological assistance. Yeah, okay. So defense cooperation also played, of course, an important role during the war, because China was providing electronics to which Russia could use to manufacture, like tank control systems, ballistic missiles, fighter jets. And this electronics could not be obtained because of the sanctions from Europe or US. So China provided need electronics which Russian military machine needed, Chinese manufactured, and also China was re-exported radars, chips, semiconductors, processors, which Russian military industry needs from Western countries, creating infrastructure for Russia to circumvent the sanctions. So that's important. Hong Kong itself played a big, significant role in it, supplying 90% of Western electronic components which Russian military needs through its firm to Russia during 2022-2024. So, of course, this 90% allowed Russian military to continue its build-up. Tank production as well. Russia was able to roughly triple its tank production over in a year because China started to export parts for tanks manufacture. And without Chinese assistance, Russia wouldn't be able to do it that fast. It might take it roughly saying 5 to 7 years to triple the tank production, but not in 1 year. Just an example. Another crucial example of assistance was during the Ukrainian counteroffensive, which started in June 2023. Besides electronics and some weapons, China provided a big amount of excavators, like 11 times more. It's sold to Russia 11 times more than usual. And most of these machines were used to build the Surovikin line, which was a defensive line of Russian military units in Donetsk and Zaporozhye region. And this allowed Russian military units to defend itself against Ukrainian counteroffensive, together with just providing Russia huge amount of trucks and military trucks, so it could supply its military units with weapons. That's just some of the examples, of course. Both countries, they started to, they intensified like bilateral joint military exercises. For the past 2 years, there were approximately 25 military exercises, bilateral or multilateral, with both China and Russia being involved, which kind of like illustrates that both countries are building military alliance. Okay, coming to conclusion, I would say that Sino-Russian military technical cooperation played an important role in Russian defense strategy during 2022-2023 period. So it provided the Russian government with range of resources to address Russian-Ukrainian war and Ukrainian counter-offensive. Also, direct economic support, increase of trade allowed the Russian economy to function, allowed Mikhail Mishustin's government to increase funding for Russian military units in Ukraine and quickly accelerate the modernization of the Russian army in general. Without this money, of course, some sort of modernization could happen, but it would be hard for Russia to find this big amount of funds so quickly, because for military modernization, you need money quickly. You can't think it's for like 15, 20 years project, you need them kind of immediately if war is going. So like quick response was the key. Okay. And what we can also see that such like intensification of collaboration, such support brought trust between the top military commanders and governments of both countries, and increased kind of like interdependence and increase like cooperation between both countries against the US and its allies, not only in Asia Pacific region, but in Eastern Europe as well. Yeah,
Thank you for your presentation. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions now, but I suggest to open discussion after our last session. And I would like to ask Andrea Giacomotti to take on moderator.
And also, sorry, till 5 o'clock, we hope we will go to be there, take coffee, and then we will leaving.
Online, would you please sit there? Okay, to be online? Yes. Yes, yes, it can.
So we will start in the next section. No?
There is.
Peter Odion Mirabor, are you there? Ah, yes, Peter.
Yeah,
Please, can you share your presentation? Are you?
I've already sent my presentation.
Yeah.
I've sent it to your WhatsApp, to your email rather. I've sent
Yeah.
it today.
Wait a moment, and I will turn you. How can I turn him co-host? Because for share for his co-host. Not here.
I sent it. I use slide
Yes.
presentation. Yes.
1 minute, Peter, please.
Now it is okay.
Now you can try. Can you try share your presentation?
I've already sent it to your email. I've sent it to your email.
No, I think you can share. You can click share screen below your screen.
Oh,
I don't have your presentation right now, please.
please, can you check your email? Just check your email. I sent it today.
Have you sent to Irina emails?
Dear Peter, all online participants share their presentation through their screen. Is there a technical possibility for you to share your presentation from your computer?
Okay, let me try. Okay.
You need to open your presentation on your computer and then go to share screen green button. Press
Okay.
on it.
Sorry, I can't. On the green button, okay.
Not yet. You're not seeing.
All the participants.
No, we don't see your screen.
Maybe enable sharing screen.
No, yes, he is able.
He is
Right.
able to share.
His co-host.
Oh,
Maybe while Peter is getting ready, we can
Yeah.
start next presentation.
On Fat Immobile.
Is Fat Imubin here?
A minute, please. A minute, please. A minute, please.
Okay.
A minute, please. Okay.
Yes, for some help, maybe.
Not here. Yes, I think she's not here. And then we have David. David is here. David. Everyone. I'm sorry, Peter. While you are solving your technical problems, we can have another presentation. Please mute your sound. And I will invite David Rafael Tandau from Indonesia.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, David, could you present? I think I need to make a host. And now you should be able to share your screen.
So, okay, so I will start now. Yeah. Okay, can you see the slide?
No, not
Hello.
yet.
Can you see my slide?
Not yet, David. Also, David disappeared. We have some technical problems around the world today. Yeah. We can check.
I'm sorry, I got kicked out because of bad signal. So may I start now?
Yeah. Yes, please. When we try to present, he disappears. Maybe we can move to another panel. Let's try one more slide.
Sorry, I'm changing my connection.
David, can you share your screen?
Okay, now I'm in with new connection.
We can see your video, but maybe you have it's I hope it will work. It worked, David.
Yeah.
It works.
I also the connection.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's working now. Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah. You can present.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So I will start. My presentation title is From Brawl Village to Theater Village, Social Choreography Practice in Galur. So the theme I choose to present tonight is citizenship education. So Galur is an urban village area in central Jakarta. I was in Galur. That triggered me to do the research later to present tonight because I was there during September to October 2023. That I involved in a national cultural program held by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. The program theme itself is caring for the earth and caring for the culture. And the program space is in residence space. The objective of the program is to enrich the social and cultural values by empowering residents to benefit their space contextually. While the activities is art workshop, later to do presentation of the workshop result. So I will give a short illustration about Galur, urban village in central Jakarta. Honestly, this is not my footage, but I download it from YouTube. But I will just play maybe like several seconds so audience can get the image of Galur where I did this research. So here you can see Galur is an urban village area that is densely populated. The distance between houses are close, and also the density added with close distance between housing and public facilities such as school, market, food stall, also praying houses, public facility. Yeah, maybe you can see if two cars with opposite direction will not pass this street easily because of the dimension. And also here is the alley which most of Galur residents live. Yeah, so this is identical with the definition and understanding of urban village area in central Jakarta. Okay, so I will continue. So when I was there, the first thing I did was to ask the citizen who can explain to me about Galur and about art activities already existed in Galur. So the resident later recommend me to meet the main resident figure, which Bang Manok, the one with the yellow shirt. Then he explained that Galur has negative image, which is the brawl village, because brawl between residents often occurs. And this is right because before I moved to the place where I live now, I was in central Jakarta. I stay in central Jakarta like more than 10 years ago, which is next to Galur. And yes, Galur is identical with Brawl Village. Okay, next, Bang Manok concerned about the negative image that stick to Galur as Brawl Village, while he also likes theater arts. So he took the initiative to build Galur Resident Theater to change Galur image. So Galur resident have positive activities. So now in Galur, you can see I put the logos of Galur Theater on the right side. There are Theater Petra and Theater Sanggar Sapta, whose members are youth. Also Theater Kandang Kuda, whose members are adults. Theater Lorong Junior with kids member. And this is the latest theater, which is Theater PKK, consists of housewives. Okay, so they have various resident theater there. Later, Bang Manok also explained about the importance of novelty building for Galur Theater's approach, because the approach of these resident theaters limited to realist theater style. So Bang Manok said that Galur resident need some kind of novelty. Later, Bang Manok and the program team agreed to hold a body theater workshop. So this is the introduction. So the objective is, initially I began to problematize for this research, this article, based on the matter of novelty that Bang Manok said is limited to realist theater style. And later the novelty I will present, we can see will be built by holding a body theater workshop until later perform the work. So here my objective is to understand how newness in Galur in terms of art built through the process, and what is the relationship between the novelty building artistically and the context of Galur. Also, I have this some kind of concern. That's why I addresses the activities of Galur during the national cultural program, so that the efforts made there sustainable, not only limited to the program period. Because if we just stick to the program period, then now it's end. Yeah, the program will be held in the next 2 years. So I hope that not only limited just for the program period. Okay, so for the method and procedure, I took the data I gained during my involvement there in Galur, and I will explore it qualitatively. So it will later become a ways or method of analysis, which is I divide into 2 aspects. First is intra-aesthetic, the analysis that related to the work of art to build the descriptive perspective, and the aspect of extra-aesthetic that matters that surrounding the work of art later to build critical perspective. But later the analysis will not be like chronologically intra to extra, but yeah, it will become more organic as I dive into the data. Okay, so analysis and result. I began to analyze by raise a question: how theater arts can grow in Galur? Why it's like Galur fit with the theater of arts, with the arts of theater, I mean. Okay, so my observation, Galur theaters activities utilizes public facilities such as residence hall and sport field. So it's like they do not have their special place to do activities. So they just utilize existing space or facilities. While theater arts element are body and movement. In my opinion, theater art, that's how theater arts can grow in Galur, because the theater art represent the need to move in Galur, which is limited spatially as city village. That doing theater in Galur is how the resident respond to get around their spatial density. Later, next thing is about the characteristic of each Galur resident theater. So they usually, these 5 theaters usually play the script with content like social narrative, sometimes social critic, also playing adapted scripts, and like the children world, playing existed script written by famous writer, theater writer, dramaturgi. So in my opinion, why there are such characteristic related to Galur resident theater is because sorry, why it's stuck? Oh yeah, because doing theater arts in Galur is like the way to be in another space. That's why the choice of these theaters are to play like being somebody else, like delivering another narrative that like outside of Galur. Okay, so back to the novelty building effort. The program team later held a body theater workshop that contains experimental approach, which is appointing facilitators who have dance arts background. So not from theater background, but dance art background. So the theater actors later trained by dancer. So the choreography, so the material will be choreography based and without doing monologue or dialogue like we know generally happen in theater. So just rely on the body to tell the stories. Also for the movements, they practice daily activities of Galur residents. So it's the choreography is the approach. So it's not like they are doing choreography like heavy choreography like dancer did, but the daily movement, daily activities later package choreographically. Initially, participants, which are most theater actors, they said initially they had difficulty doing choreography movements because they have to count, to be in sync. But facilitators have opinion that they believe that choreography movement can be performed by actors because there are intersection between dance and theater, which is the acting aspect. Okay, so here are some pictures of the body theater workshop. So we can see it's like physical body training, body movement, yeah, which is rely on the muscle, more to physical. Here we can see doing squatting, planking. Okay, so this is like doing the daily life movement like walking, see to the side. But I remember because I also attend some session of the workshop, like for example, the left picture, the participant has to walk first like ordinarily. Later, the facilitator asks them to, what if you walk 5 times slower? So they have to make it slower with, they have to do it choreographically and also by counting. And here are some body theater workshop documentation also.
David, please
Yes.
conclusions. Can you go to go?
Oh. My conclusion. Okay. Okay, maybe I will go here. So the result of this workshop is a work called Bodies of Galur with 3 acts. Act 1 features for standing actor, deliver opening strong impression. Here, yeah, I will make it fast here. Okay, and this is Act 2. Various ages cat with back and forth choreography about the daily activities. Here we can see they are doing like daily activities movement, and this is the last act. Act 3 features more complex choreography about Galur. Okay, so if I will jump to the conclusion now. Okay, about the phenomenon, actually Galur residents feel connected to the work bodies of Galur here, which narrates their daily life. It means it responds contextual awareness. Also, the following phenomenon, Bang Manok later initiate a Galur cultural festival because it is inseparable from how the resident respond. Also based on Galur core potencies, which is limited spatially. Also, I offer the view of social choreography to mark the dynamic in Galur, that the potency manifested through body movement as way of expression. Later, it expanded to the choreography of resident. So by combining theater arts and dance art, that is in line like how the resident space program trigger the choreography of Galur resident. Initially through Bang Manok as the main resident figure, who not only stay but live or living the space. I think this is the important point, that not just stay but live and living the space. So as the closing statement, to build the novelty in Galur, actually the attention is directed back to its context and potency. So again, to build the novelty, it's not like we have to go somewhere else, but here in study case of Galur, the attention is directed back to its context. Includes not just the actors here, but also move involving the residents to care about the complexity of their space and its reality. Okay, I think that's all I can present. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Can you stop share screen? Yeah, thank you. Peter, are you able to share your screen now?
Okay, I'm ready now.
Okay. You have first to open your presentation in your computer. After that, you have to share screen in this green button.
It's already opened.
And search for your presentation in your computer.
I hope it doesn't drop. And most probably other presenters are not here, are not connected.
Oh, I want to ask if Ina or Tamas is here? Or Oksana Bayer? They are the next presentation. No. No, no one.
I will invite people for the final discussion.
Okay.
So we will be able to.
No, because Peter is not able to share, and the other two are not here.
But we may listen without the slides. And it is that.
And Peter, can you present without your slides?
Okay, thank you. Since I'm not able to share the work, I think I will start my presentation now. Can you hear me now?
But I think that you can you present without your slides for us?
Okay, all right, I will do that. But I've already sent it to your email. Probably you can share it to them later after the presentation. You can share it to other participants after the presentation.
Yes, but those that are participating online, we ask for you for share your presentation. But if you want to do your presentation without a slide, you can do it shortly, please.
Very shortly.
Okay, so my name is
very shortly, please.
Not more than 10 minutes.
Not more than 10 minutes, please. I will tell you your time.
All right, okay. My name is Dr. Peter Irabodian. From Nigeria. I work at Adeleke University, Ede, Nigeria, Department of Political Science and Public Administration. This topic was actually extracted from my PhD thesis that I submitted as far back as 2022. My PhD thesis focused on European Union frameworks on external migration and Nigerian immigrants between the year 2015 to 2022. So part of the European Union frameworks on external migration that I focus on include Return Directive and Readmission Agreement, Africa Frontiers Intelligence Community, Common European Asylum System, and European Union Emergency Trust Fund for Africa. So this study actually focused on the assessment of the European Union Emergency Trust Fund for Africa on Nigerian irregular migrants. Now, the introduction. European Union Emergency Trust Fund for Africa is one of the frameworks used by the European Union to control and prevent irregular migration to Europe. It is a part of a larger framework policy for Africa, which emphasized on economic development in Africa to dissuade irregular migration to Europe. The basic assumption here is that socioeconomic and political conditions in Africa, as well as economic growth and labor supply in Europe, are among indices that drives irregular migration to Europe. So to this end, EU established European Union Trust Fund for Africa to promote economic development, improve security and migration governance in order to deter irregular migration. This topic actually focuses on Nigeria, based on the fact that Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in Africa. Secondly, is one of the major countries of origin, and one of the highest and one of the countries with the highest number of regular migrants, and one of the beneficiary of the European Union Trust Fund for Africa in the Sahel and the Chad region. The objective of the study now, the broad objective of the study is to assess the European Union Trust Fund for Africa on Nigeria irregular migrants, while the specific objectives are to, number one, examine the impact of European Union Trust Fund for Africa on Nigerian irregular migrants, and two, to examine the challenges of European Union Trust Fund for Africa on Nigeria irregular migrants. Now, if you want to look at the historical background of Nigerian irregular migration to Europe and the emergence of EU Trust Fund, we will observe that irregular migration to Europe can be traced back before even the era of colonial period, during the Atlantic slave trade, where most of the Africans were migrated to, were carried away as slaves to Europe for agricultural plantation and the production of sugar, cotton, and the rest. So what we need to know here is that migration during this period was mainly linked to inter-ethnic conflicts and war between empires and kingdoms, where victims and the enslaved were sold to Western European slave traders. Now, during the colonial era, migration to Europe was related to colonial ties and legacy as a result of historical link in common language. The pattern of migration in this period show a greater tendency of movement toward the United Kingdom, because UK was actually the country that colonized Nigeria. So during that time, people migrated for economy and for education as well also. So after the colonial era, Nigeria passed through some economic instability and the rest. So at that time, people started moving as a result of socioeconomic instability in the country. So we can say here that most of the Nigerian migrants that moved at that period was as a result of political stability, military dictatorship, inter-ethnic conflict, civil war that happened in Nigeria as a result, and what have you. Without wasting much of our time, I'll quickly go to the methodology now. So the study focused on, the study area was based on Lagos, Edo, and FCT, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Lagos State and Edo State are part of the states that harbor so many irregular migrants. They view Edo State as one of the stop shop where they migrate people irregularly by the traffickers and the smugglers. In fact, the Edo people historically can be linked to the issue of prostitution, where women were being carried to Europe for sex trafficking and what have you. So the study adopts qualitative descriptive research design, and the respondents include the EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, European Union External Action Service, Frontex, International Organization for Migration, and EDR Innocence, which is a local non-governmental organization that focuses on irregular migrants. The objective one now. The objective one is to look at the impact of the EU Trust Fund for Africa on Nigerian irregular migrants. Findings show that 63% of the EU European Union Trust Fund for Africa is dedicated to development projects, 22% of it to migration management projects, and 14% of it to security and peace building initiative. Most of these projects are given priority based on the prevailing circumstances in African countries. For example, in Nigeria, where the northern region is facing food insecurity and social amenity as a result of Boko Haram and banditry. About 477,500 people are receiving food security related services, and about 5,800 people are receiving basic social services, and with about 50.0 million euro from European Union Trust Fund for Africa under GO4. It was also revealed that although the northern region is not part of the state in Nigeria, the region in Nigeria that actually migrate regularly to Europe, but because of the fact of the insurgency that normally occur in this region, part of the EU Trust Fund actually have been devoted to this region. Example of these states are Yobe State, Gombe State, Borno, Adamawa. It has also been observed that Nigeria has benefited from security and peace building, which is also part of the go-to of the EU Trust Fund for Africa. It was
Peter, please go to conclusions.
Okay, so apart from this funding, the fund is also, apart from this, the fund is also used to strengthen military operation. It is noteworthy to say here that the EU Trust Fund for Africa is also used to fund surveillance projects and border security in Nigeria to stop irregular migration. The fund is also allocated to strengthening and promoting awareness on the risk on embarking on dangerous routes. Part of the challenges is that while chunk of this fund is disbursed to the northern region, most of the southern part of the country where irregular migration actually occur have not actually benefited from this fund. And we can see it as a misplacement of priority by the European Union. Another issue here is that the latter part of the fund is also devoted to border surveillance, border policing, and which has been another negative aspect on the part of the irregular migrant. We are seeing it in the sense that their rights are being trampled upon, because most of these security border, the police and immigration, they use heavy-handed approach on the irregular migrants. And we can also, another challenges is that there's a poor participation from the government institution. Most of this implementation of this policy are from the European Union. The government have not actually hand in it when it comes to the implementation and the formulation of the project, of the EU Trust Fund project. So the project is being dedicated, the project is being formulated by the European Union themselves. And it's just that they will just hand over those projects to the government. So it's just as a result, we can see it in a way that there is no policy alignment. If you want to put if you want to look at it, there is no policy alignment, and the desired priority are not being catered for. So in conclusion, the study concluded that European Union Trust Fund for Africa have continued to increase militarization of border security and exacerbated repression and limit democratic accountability in Nigeria, which consequently propelled traffickers and smugglers to navigate irregular migrants' journey to other riskier routes. While putting the displaced person into consideration as part of the beneficiary of EU Trust Fund for Africa, the study recommended that the fund should focus more on regions with the highest number of returnees. Example, like the southern region. Then this will help to increase awareness of the danger of irregular migration to Europe and also discourage the returning from embarking on dangerous trip to Europe. And another recommendation is that the formulation and implementation of the project under the EU Trust Fund for Africa should involve government and community participation. This will ensure that projects reach the targeted beneficiary, discourage Europe-centeredness in projects, and encourage inclusive as well as democratic accountability. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Peter.
Now I'd like to invite our audience online and present to discuss some comments or questions to Peter and David.
Probably if there are no presentations anymore for today, we can finalize our meeting today with the general presentations about on the previous session and this session. We had a very interesting presentation. So maybe I saw that you had outside here. Maybe some comments from this discussion can be also transferred here.
Let's kind of during the break.
Yeah,
that's
some
make more
space.
That's the problem always. Actually, I'm because I'm just wondering if you, with your research, maybe you just follow what kind of information in China are distributed about the situation and the war to these people in China. Like, do they really know about the situation and how and why China supports the Russian government?
Well, I mean, mostly official information is distributed, and because China tries to control internet, not everybody will able to access like real information, but some people they can. So officially, what you see on Chinese TV and on Chinese newspapers is that war is going on because Ukraine provoked Russia with its especially pro-American and Korean policy. So Russia portrayed as a victim, which was building strong economic ties with European Union countries, and due to sanction policy, its economy got damaged seriously. That's why China, as a country which promotes worldwide peace and economic stability, needs to step up and assist Russia. So, like regular people of Russia would not be suffering because of the sanctions. That's how Chinese government presented to the public, explaining their actions. Sometimes they would show documentaries about the war in Ukraine, or like portraying the damages which are done to Ukrainian cities or to Ukrainian infrastructure or energy system. But they point out that like ceasefire needs to be implemented and talks with Ukraine and Russia needs to stop. Portraying itself as more like neutral powers. But they always emphasize is that like Russia is a victim. Russia started this war to restore the status quo in the region and stop the growing US influence in the region. And China assists Russia because China wants to build a multipolar world where one power, US and NATO, do not create related polar states. A lot of emphasizes the multipolar world.
But any possibility to at least know how many of Chinese people is aware of the real situation? Because I had this problem with China that I have no idea how to research this country. You know, it's very, very difficult, and to get the data, which are like real data, it's very, very challenging. So.
Yeah, but when it comes to Chinese sociology, it's very controlled, and the censorship always kind of have, let's say, speech that released, which not released. There's like several NGO speech which government tries to control, but would not fully control, and they sometimes release data regarding public opinion in China regarding different issues related to Taiwan, with issues in Tibet, issues in Uyghur autonomy region. You know, basically, there China constantly organizes so-called anti-terrorist operations and for several people there. And we have also about the war in Ukraine. But what this polls say that approximately 70% of Chinese are in favor of this current official foreign policy. But 30% is highly against it and not satisfied with this China providing support Russia. And the reason why the 30% are not satisfied, because, I mean, yes, of course, China spread economic influence to Russia and received some additional economic sphere of influence, some additional markets to export. But as a result of this support, it keeps losing market in the European Union, it keeps losing market in the US, keeps losing its place on the market in the US and Canada. And these markets are way more profitable than Russia, bigger population, bigger income. Yeah, capacities you can compare. So economically, it's also not the best for long term, not the best thing to China. That's why some people don't support.
Yeah, please, Leiva.
There is time.
Yes, Leiva.
Thank you so much. Do we have our Indonesian colleagues still online? Because I just wanted to clarify.
David, I think David is not longer. Does not connected.
Thank you.
I wanted to make a question to Anna. Although I have asked for third year or more, and I wanted to ask you for which subjects are the youth, are the young people more interested in the youth council? You mentioned that they are involved, they are active in youth council, and for which subjects are more interested?
Well, generally, it's different in both countries. Yes. But for instance, in Finland, they are really interested in creating, or at least partially influencing the curricula, school.
But from the youth council?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because partially it is created and changed or adjusted on a local level. Yes. Also transportation. I mentioned this also. The transportation is very important for them. Yes, so they wanted to adjust and improve them buses timetables according to the end of school lessons, just to have not to have to wait for a bus very long, but have the bus immediately after school. So this kind of activities are important for them. And there was always the same topic everywhere. They wanted to change the menu of a school canteen. Mm-hmm. Yes, because we always ask about like why you want to change. It's not good, it's not tasty, but they always had some kind of problems with this and wanted to change it. And this kind of things connected somehow with school, because they have other tools to influence like a situation in their own towns. So they have these budgets, and I don't have time to explain this. So they can create, for instance, like culture activities or some kind of integrational activities using different money from the different sources and using different tools. But with this the youth council, this is the topic. But in Polish case, it's different because it depends on local authorities what kind of paper they will provide them to consult. So they have less opportunities, and of course they discuss anything connected with school curricula and nothing about the school campaign. But maybe they can discuss some things connected with culture events which they want to organize, or something maybe connected with transportation. There was the case they wanted to have cheaper tickets or free access to the public transport. So they wanted to discuss.
That would be interesting for Greece, because, for example, you can see that still after so many years that the university exists here, we still don't have a bus takes the students from the suburban railway station.
Yes,
still the university.
Yes,
Because the taxi drivers were very negative.
Oh, they are influenced.
So there has been a lot of struggles, and they put after a big period they put a bus, and finally the students said no, only for some specific time during the day. It was not convenient for them, and they found it also very expensive, because instead of that they are either walking from there or they're taking for 3 or 4 taxis, so it becomes
cheaper than the cheaper.
Yes. And I found it very interesting. I want to search for that. They city friendly status. Yes, status. Yes. For example, Corinth is also applying a town which belongs to this group of towns that learns. I don't know,
like learning city.
Learning city. But I haven't seen this youth-friendly city.
I never checked how many cities from Greece
applied
for
this.
but you can
learn more about it.
Thank you. If I may, one more question?
Yes, sure.
Because, dear Irina, after your presentation, we did not have time for discussion. My question would be 500 respondents. 500.
Yes, 500.
That's a lot, especially in the country. Well, it's a large country, but it's a large country under pressure. How was it possible to collect the answers?
This data was collected in 2 universities in Dnipro, which I mentioned. We sent link to Qualtrics questionnaire, and our collaborators in Ukraine, who know me very well from 2010 when I worked in Dnipro, they organized data collection among students. Actually, students reported that even replying these questions were interesting for them. And that is why we decided to publish this concept book, because I have heard from several researchers that the whole questionnaire is like a story.
Oh, okay.
And it encourages creative thinking. So
that's a compliment for the author.
there were 5 authors. I coordinated and led this process, but all contributors, I should confess that the team was wonderful. Actually, we received registered 660 probably responses, but after cleaning and after initial frequency analysis, I think there will be around 500 valid responses.
Thank you so much. So congratulations.
Thank you.
There's people who are so receptive, evidently the questionnaire involved them into that process rather than repulse, which choice.
And our coordinators were Dean from Oles Honchar University and Associate Professor from Alfred Nobel University, and they told that it was interesting for both universities to participate in this project. Collaboration with the Swiss university was interesting for them. So the whole process was wrapped in a collaboration framework. It was not just a survey. And There was also exchange of knowledge and so on and so forth. Thank you. I think we are in time to finish. Some of our presentations canceled, which were scheduled online, but still I would like to say thank you for all participants who were connected online. Probably it was not always very convenient to listen to us, but tomorrow the day will be mostly online. So tomorrow should be much better, and I hope that tomorrow we will not have technical issues which we had today and which didn't depend on us. I would also like to acknowledge participants who are here in the room, and I'm very glad that we had very fruitful communication and discussions, and very interesting presentations today. And I'm sure that tomorrow will be also very interesting day.
And thank you for the moderators to keep us in line.
Thank you. So I am stopping video recording now.